The opening screen on my PowerPoint shows a real trade, a real recent trade. This was not like 2 years ago. This was not 18 years ago. This was a week or so, 2 weeks ago. One of our members made over $6,000 trading in the trade room. And I believe he was done trading by about 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty sure that almost all of his profits were trading the oil energy report. He made over $6,000, almost seven. That's an awesome, awesome way to trade. I know the member personally. He's always in our trade room. Mash, he traded, looks like to me, he traded 10 contracts on that trade, which makes sense. He bought eight, at least eight. And I know for a fact that on his runners, he had targets set and he had runners, and he made 42 ticks on the runner. Because I remember the trade. I made $180 on that trade. And it's one of the things I explain to people. People, they say to me all the time, give me your track record, show me the exact amount of money I can make with JOBB, the newstraders.com. And the truth is, I trade differently in the room than I often expect people to trade. And I tell people all the time in the room, don't do what I do. My goal is to teach you how to do this so you could do it your way. And the perfect proof of that is this member doing it his way and making a lot more money than I made on the same trade. Because in the room, you have to understand that I've got to watch questions. I've got to talk to people. I've got to help you set up your trades. It's very hard to be focused. And I'm very jealous of people that run rooms and are able to just keep a hard focus only on their trading. I don't, so I trade a little smaller than I would trade if I was trading on my own, alone in my room, I often say. And so we have, I have a track record of all our trades, and it is profitable. But it would be much more profitable if I was trading alone because I would trade larger. When I'm in the room, I'm much more careful. I'm much more conservative because part of my job is to keep everyone in the room safe. So if I make an error, it's an error on the side of caution rather than an error on the side of risk. So that's important to understand when you're trying to figure out whether or not you can make money with our system. Um, it's no question. There's no question. This webinar is not for you to buy the software or the trading room that we run, MASH. This webinar is strictly to show you what our software is capable of doing. We're not selling the trade room. I'm not selling the software today. In fact, our system is closed. You can't even buy our stuff until next week. You can't even become a member today. We are not selling today. That's not the point. The point is that we've been upgrading our software all year. Little upgrade here, little update here, and we have done a major final upgrade for the next week at least until I get another idea or one of our members gets a great idea. But and we're releasing JOBB version 8 plus the one-click range trade. And the goal of this webinar is just to show everybody what we've done. We want all of the people that trade with us and use our software. By Labor Day, we want everybody to download the new software from our website and just be on the same page running the same exact version of the software. It'll help us with tech support and it'll help you because you'll have the best features that we've been working to bring you in the software. So again, I want to introduce myself. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the director here, I'm the director of thenewstraders.com. We changed our name from JOBB, but JOBB will always be the name in my heart because when I was a member here, that was the name of the program. It stands for J. Offner Bracket Breakout. Jay Offner was our founder, as I'll show you in the PowerPoint. And you could see that he wasn't really planning for this to be anything other than maybe a serious hobby for him, because let's face it, Jay Offner Bracket Breakout is not exactly the greatest selling name for a product. Shortened to JOBB, it's kind of cool. But Anyway, so I'm Lee Goldstein. I'm the director here. I'm the trade room moderator. I'm the guy that you talk to if you have problems. I help you in the trade room. And like I said, I really enjoy doing this. I don't mind answering questions ever. You can interrupt me. I prefer that you interrupt me during this webinar with questions. I don't like doing PowerPoints. They're boring, they're static, they're uninteresting. I'm going to do a very short one just to show you who we are. I want to let you know about risk. You want to be smart about risk, and the fact that you did great in the past doesn't mean you'll do great in the future. You know the deal. You got to trade carefully, you got to trade smart, trade money you can afford to lose, and be smart about how you trade. Check margin with your broker, and don't trade more than you can afford to lose. Don't trade your rent money, okay? Don't trade your food money, and don't trade your kids' college education unless you know what the heck you're doing so well that you can do that. Some people can do it, but we don't recommend that the average person do it. Learn, learn, learn. Take the time, spend the time. Don't worry about the small charge that you pay any guru for their monthly charge. Take the time to learn first so that you can become successful at anything that you do, okay? Take me 1 second. So what we are doing these days, it's very important to realize that in the old days, when JOBB first came into existence, we only traded the news only. It was the only thing we ever did. And we traded, I would say 99%, we traded oil. In those days, oil was moving on every single report. And it was amazing how oil now today basically just moves on the oil report. Might be a couple of other small Canadian reports that'll move on, but overall, you're just strictly dealing with oil for the energy report. And one of the big things that we do, one of the jobs that people ask us to do for them and help them, is we do a tremendous amount of testing. In the old days, Jay would come out with a HIRA, Jay would do the testing, but the company has grown so much and we've changed so much that now we need ourselves to do testing, and we need people to do testing. We need our members. The big thing that differentiates JOBB or the newstraders.com from other companies is that our members play an integral part in our functioning. We're not just a place that people come and we throw a trade up at you, but we're a community, and we are introducing the new software, which includes the one-click range trade. And without one of our members, Stephen Nichols, we wouldn't have a one-click range trade, because Stephen and I were sort of on the same page. I noticed that there were a lot of breakouts in the market. Stephen had been trading breakouts, and we put our heads together and came up with a tremendous amount of features that we added to our platform. And Stephen was a key person in helping to design our new software. And he's a member. He's a member, and we have other members that suggest trades because they do testing. So I'll say it once, I say it 1,000 times. The big thing that we do that's important is test. We always know what reports are behaving well. We always know what reports should be traded and what reports should be avoided. And that's the key of making money with our system. It's probably the key with making money with almost any system, but most people are not willing to put the time in that they need to put in for trading. So I want to show you, before we really get started, one of the first new ways that we're trading. And in this particular trade, it was live in our trade room. It was 4 p.m. It was Amazon earnings. We traded all the FANG companies: Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google. Those are the big companies that you trade for earnings. They work great using NQ futures. And with Amazon, our software automatically places the order on the chart. You manipulate it a little bit to keep you away from the price before the earnings get released, so you don't get pulled in to the market too early. But you'll know, even without stock prices being live, You know, Amazon has already released their earnings at this moment. It pulled us into the trade, and in a matter of seconds, I was out of the trade with over $600 in profit. It was 3 seconds. And we didn't even realize there was going to be a second move bigger than the first. Because if you remember, I don't know if you recall, Amazon, they had pretty bad numbers. And actually, it was Facebook that had the second huge move. I'll show you that a little bit later. Amazon was just a beautiful short. We got pulled in. Our software placed our orders on the chart automatically. And literally 4 seconds, I was out of the trade with a $600 profit because I was up 200 before the trade. And that's not bad either. We were trading almost all the trading I do is live in our trade room. I do a couple of trades outside of the trade room, but we're not the kind of company that brings in so-called cameo trades, trades we do outside of the trade room just to show people how successful we are. Almost everything we do is live in front of people, because that's how we do it. So you see all the errors, you see all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, all the stop outs, all the mistakes. I mean, it's just part of life. We feel like if you see the truth, you're a grown up, you can deal with the truth. And it's like yesterday. Yesterday, I had a really tough day scalping, because it was a bad day to trade, and we knew that, but I had a lot of people in the trade room. So I went through with it anyway, and I scalped, couldn't make money scalping yesterday. Using my specific system, which is what I was showing. It made money every other day of the week. So you can't, go crying in your milk because you have one bad day. But the point is, you actually learn more on a day that's difficult than you learn on a day that's great. On a day that's great, you go out bragging, you send a video, look how great we did, and you don't think much about anything. Just, trying to get new members, trying to get people to sign up. But on the bad days, you learn, you look and see what happened. You figure out different ways to do it. You change the zone size. As you'll see, we use a zone. But, there's no terrible nightmare in having one bad day out of 5. If most of your days are good, and hopefully that's the way you're going to trade, it's normal to have a bad day every now and then, and you want to learn from those days and grab something from them so you can do better the next day. And we do work with both version 7 and version 8, Mike, just so you know. And I would say just now, with the new version coming out, now I can uncategorically recommend Ninja version 8 with our software. I couldn't recommend it previously because the indicators were not available. But we wrote our own indicators. They integrate into the program beautifully. And Ninja 8 is actually very nice. And I'll show you Ninja 8 in a little bit. It looks really good with our software. I just want to show you our team right now. Eric Spiker is one of our partners. He lives down in Florida, a really good guy. He's my main boss at the company. I talk to him the most. And then the gentleman who founded the company, Jay Offner, Joe Brackett, J Offner, Brackett Breakout. He lives in Hawaii, so he's been getting blasted with the storm. Even through the storm, he's been sending the updates, our trading updates every day, one day before our trade. He sends out an alert. It looks like this. All the members get them. We call them HIRAs. A HIRA is a high impact report alert. It's a trade document that we send 2 different types. We have a weekly HIRA that lets you know what the schedule is for the week. And we have the day before HIRA, like yesterday, we knew we were going to trade Corable Goods. So there's comments about the trade, cancel rules. When do you cancel the trade if it doesn't fill? A recommended stop, a recommended bracket, price above and below the current price, recommended contract, and a recommended risk. Okay, and you know that the day before the trade, which is pretty awesome. And then the other thing we do is we send out a weekly version of this so that you know what the schedule is all week. And we show which rooms we'll have trade rooms for and which rooms we want. And most of them, I'd say 80% we have trade rooms. So we do a lot of things. We do everything. All our trading that we do in our personal account is done live. We had the best July that we ever had. I can show you a true real broker statement. We were actually up more than 15% if you go back to before July. We were up 20%. But just looking at July, true broker statement, we were up 15.1%, trading small. I mean, I wasn't trading huge sizes. I wasn't trading 10 contracts on anything, and our account is not huge, okay? If I had a $30,000, $40,000 account, I'd be trading much larger sizes. So for people with big accounts, the opportunity to make more money on the good trades is there. And obviously we can't guarantee what a good trade is going to be, but there are so many trades, or there are a great collection of trades that on a regular basis trade well. Okay. For instance, natural gas, believe it or not, has been trading well for almost a year, maybe more. And natural gas is one of those trades. This was a trade we took. This was August 2nd. If you look right here, it was a realized profit of 360, 3 seconds. We had, I think, double the positive slippage. In other words, instead of getting out at our stop, the market was moving so fast, it gave us almost double our targets. So instead of making $180, we made 360. Now that happens in reverse too. You could get on a stop out, it could blow through your stop and you could get stopped a little bit extra. But these are things that we make sure that people understand. And it's very important just to know what the risks are when you trade events. And I'm not saying just the news now, because we now are an event trading company. And I call an event trading the open. I call an event news. I call an event a speaker talking on the radio or on TV, because we have a squawk box that can be used to give you a heads up whether there might be a trade. There are a lot of tools that you can use to figure out when to trade. That's me, my daughter, my kids. I'm a musician, a songwriter also, and they call me the director here. And my main role is to being the trade room moderator, and just, it's really tech support and helping people. And that's the big thing that I do. So members, I don't want you to get too bored. I'm going to get into the software real quick. The one-click range trade is a big part about what we're doing now. It's something that I said we invented. I can't sing something today, Urban. I would love to. You know I'm obsessed with Paul McCartney these days, but I'm not going to sing today. I just want to teach today. But you can Google my name, Irvin, and yep, Aretha for sure. Google my name. You can go hear me sing anytime. So the one-click range trade is a big part of what we're doing now. I'll show you how it works. Quickly, what you get with us is all the usual stuff you get with any guru. A member website. I mean, most people have live trade rooms, but what's unique about us is we usually trade, I wouldn't say usually, we still trade at a schedule. We know how we're going to do it almost always before the trade. We can tell you how to set up trades before the event occurs. We have awesome tech support. You know, we don't believe that you don't answer emails on Sunday. I mean, email was invented so it could be answered. I don't understand companies that go, oh, we're closed Sunday, we don't answer emails. I mean, give me a break. It's 2018. How could you not answer emails? So the call for action, newjob.info, please register for next week's webinar so that if you want to become a member, you can, because you can't do it now. And members, I just want to give you a heads up. We have done so much, spent so much money that we want you to stay. We're not going to be able to honor the low prices that we used to honor if you leave and come back. So it pays to stay now. We're really going to stick to our new pricing next year because we've done so many things and we've got so many more coming. I have 2 things coming that are going to be so exciting. I can't barely contain myself. I actually 3. One of them we're starting already. We're doing reversal trading. Another one that we're doing is You know what? I can't even tell you what the other two are going to be. You're going to have to trust me. And you know I always tell the truth. So let's get into the real reason we're here. I've given you some background. The company started in 2012, um, trading mostly oil. We have evolved into a company that now trades using NinjaTrader, and we will be adding new platforms this year. Not sure what yet. I'm looking at a lot of platforms, maybe TradeStation. I would have liked to added TOS, but TOS doesn't look like a possibility. They don't deal with strategies. Tasty Trade or whatever, what's his name is doing. I forget his name offhand. Very cool guy. The guy that used to own Thinkorswim. Right now, they don't support very much of anything. But if they get their platform updated, I'd certainly look at it because he's a very smart guy. What's his name? The guy that I'm thinking of. Um, Not sure about Agena, Brian. We've been looking at Agena. We've been looking at Multicharts.net. We're definitely not going to be doing Sierra charts, unfortunately. It's not that it's a bad program. It just doesn't give it. Tom Sizenoff. Is it Sosner or Sizenoff? Sizenoff. And whatchamacallit, Sierra just doesn't have enough of what we need. TradeStation is actually perfect for us because we want live stock prices because we want to be able to do more and more with earnings because our software is so perfect for it. It's a perfect venue, perfect platform to trade earnings and events. And TradeStation is great for reversal trades. Got to be a little bit careful on the high speed trades, but that's probably true of any platform. And we'd like to bring in TradeStation can be free if you trade enough. So I'm pushing for TradeStation because if you do TradeStation, then you do multi-charts automatically because they actually support the same programming language. So that's like getting two platforms for the price of one. And I think that's a very, very strong possibility. But we're asking you also to tell us. If you want to type in and tell me what platform you're using, I'd love to hear it. I'd be very, very interested in knowing what platform or platforms you use. Okay. So tell me, just type it in. I'd like to know. So one of the big things, let me go through the software and start you from scratch. So we now have 5 trades setups that you can use. It used to be that on entry type, all you would get would be breakout trade and range trade. Sorry, breakout trade and trap trade. I'm losing my mind. Trap trade's a separate trade. You'd get breakout trade, and that would be it. That was it. Trap trade's a separate trade. You have to call it up just by clicking on trap trade. That functions on its own. And we did a small upgrade to the trap trade, and it's probably time to start working on some major upgrades to the trap trade. So I've got that in my sights for this year. So the breakout trade was our main trade. And just to give you an example of what a breakout trade looks like, there's a report that we've never traded in the room. It's a report that I love. It's a report I've traded my whole life that I've been trading it for about 5 years, and then it became unsafe. It's the API oil report. Just to give you an idea what this report can look like. It trades Tuesday afternoons at 4:30. Nobody knows about this report. It's a high slippage report. And one of the things you have to do is not forget to turn your trade on, which I always do. It's a high slippage report. And it's one of the reasons we don't trade the report in the room, because we've always been worried that people are going to not be able to make enough money on it because of the slippage. I believe that we probably can bring this trade into the room. But what happened is when I decided I wanted to bring the trade into the room, it kind of became unsafe. So I've got my eye on it. I'm watching it. Last couple of weeks have been pretty good. But it's imperative that the trade be safe before I bring it into the room for our members to trade. So our software automatically puts the targets on the chart if I do it properly, if my replay is working properly. And sometimes on Saturdays, you can have a real party going on. So let me just do one more thing that I know I did wrong. Saturdays, you don't always get proper data because a lot of the companies are doing their maintenance but let's be honest here, you have to also enter the correct time into the trade. That always helps. So the time that I enter this Tuesday trade is actually the moment that the report comes out, 16:30. Usually we enter reports earlier than that. And then now I'll show you the report work properly, because it will. But it is a report I want to bring into the room. It's a weekly report. We may only trade it once or twice a month, because there is a way to trade it safely, even though it's unsafe. But you can't trade it every single day. And you ever have one of those days, let me figure out why my strategy is not firing, because I need replay today to be able to show you all the good stuff I'm going to show you. So give me 1 second. I know exactly why it's not. So hang on 1 second. This is a breakout trade, not a one-click range trade. So if you choose the wrong entry trade, you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get filled. You're just going to miss a trade. And that will happen if you make a mistake. And trust me, I'm human. We're all normal. Most of us anyway. Most of us are normal people. You make a mistake, you could miss a trade. But fortunately, if you put in the wrong type of trade, the platform will not hurt you. It'll just not fill you. And sometimes that'll happen, for instance, if you're trading limit orders. A lot of people ask me, hey, how come you don't trade stop limit orders on all your news trades? And the truth is, if you get a move like this, take a look at this move, how fast it takes place. If you trade this with stop limit orders, very often what'll happen, the market will jump over your orders and not fill you, okay? And when you use market orders, that's when you're dealing with what we call slippage. If you use a market order, you'll get filled, but you might have to deal with a little bit of slippage, okay? So that's something to realize. Market orders could lead to slippage. A stop limit order could lead to missing a trade, because the market will jump over those trades, all right? It'll jump over those orders. So when you're using replay, make sure you do it right, not the way I just did it. You got to be in replay. You got to turn your trade on, and then everything should finally work. And your timer has to be, of course, before the trade. Now I'm using the breakout trade, so I don't have to worry about my buttons or anything like that. I give up. I don't know what. Let me reboot my platform, because my platform is not firing. So give me 1 second. Anytime you have an issue, just reboot the platform. It's just sometimes it's just a ninja issue. Sometimes it's a user issue. But I will go over every single setting. Shari, if you've been trading the API trade, depending on how you trade it, is what I'm talking about with it being safe or unsafe. For our system, trading the API report has been unsafe, but not the last 2 weeks, okay? The last 2 weeks, it has not been unsafe. But if you have a triple whipsaw, like we had 3 weeks ago, that, or might have even been a quadruple whipsaw, that was an incredibly unsafe trade. And it has been having a good trade and then stopping out more times than it's been having a profitable trade. So that's why I say it's been unsafe for our way of trading, Shari. I'm not discussing the way you trade it or your method, but the way we use, it had been unsafe for quite a while. It was only about a 25% winner, and I don't bring trades into the room that are 25% winners. You just can't do that, because you have to bring trades into the room that are absolute constant. You want at least 70%, 60% winners, so that if you have a couple of stops, you're going to make money. Let me see if my platform is working. If it's not working properly, I'll just show a video. It's not a big deal. I have a million of them. So I want to be in replay. So I disconnect my normal JOBB. And before I do it, so I don't have to re-enter everything, hang on 1 sec. You know what? Let me just go into replay. It only takes a second. So you go to the time of the trade and replay. The day was the 21st. It was a Tuesday of last week. You got to go in at 4:29. You go in a couple of seconds before the trade when you're testing replay. And replay is the most important tool that we tell our members to learn. If they don't know how to use replay, if you don't know how to use replay, you don't have a proper way to test your reports. How are you going to know, for instance, that core durable goods has not been a profitable report for X amount of months? You're not going to know that. How are you going to know what size bracket to use on a trade? You're not going to know that. So some of the settings that we have is we have a bracket size. I've determined that the safest bracket size for this trade, because of the way it behaves, is 11. Okay, so we put our price 11 ticks above the current price and 11 ticks below. I take an 8-tick profit. I use a 9-tick stop. Okay, I also use a 29-tick profit, and that one obviously I wait for. I don't trail my stops, because if a report is going to reverse, and many news reports do reverse, I don't want to be caught in that reversal. So let's see if my platform fires. If it doesn't fire, then I'll show some sample trades. It does on a Saturday. It doesn't make any difference, because there we go. Okay. So this is what it looks like before the trade. It hit my first target, gave me 180 bucks. Keep in mind, when you're simulating in replay, there's no slippage. So cut that in half. You're really probably about a $90 profit at best. And then what I would do is move my stop to break even plus a tick or so. No matter what, I'm going to make money on that trade. Shari, I would bet that using limit orders, you miss a lot of those trades. Because they're too fast. Tell me the truth. How many of them have passed over you recently? Using limit orders on the oil trade is something I would not do, because I'd rather not trade than miss the trade. I personally, as crazy as it sounds, I'd rather get stopped out of a trade than miss the great trade that, even though it had slippage, moved so far that I was able to take advantage of a big profit. So this trade wasn't moving anywhere. I moved my stop into the order is what I would do. Get out of the trade, cut that in half, because there was no slippage. My fill would have been higher up. There's no slippage in sim. The point is, that's the way our software works. What our software does, and even the new version, the old version, any version, it's very difficult in real life, no matter what anybody says, to be fiddling around with orders before a trade. If you were going to do this manually, and especially with Ninja has a dome that, in my opinion, is unusable for a normal person. If you look at the way Ninja's dome works, their dome, it doesn't allow you, the first failure of their dome, in my opinion, let me bring it over because it shows up on a different chart. Their dome, in order to expand their dome, you have to go into the properties of the dome and tell the dome how many lines you're going to make the prices. So that in itself, do you have time to do that in a fast trade? I don't. I need a dome, and I know there's another dome you could pay for, but that dome basically works the same way. When you click your mouse and put an order above the dome, it will fill you. It doesn't put a buy stop or a sell stop below the price like most normal domes does. It puts the wrong type of order there. Their dome is not usable for news trading. It might be usable for other things, but for trading fast, the Ninja dome, unfortunately, is not a dome that I would recommend. So what you have to do if you're using Ninja is if you were going to trade this report manually, it takes place at 4:30. So you have to set up your report, set up your orders before the market is ready for the trade. And then you have to deal with your stops. So you might have to write an ATM. It's a tremendous amount of preparation for each and every trade. We don't have to mess with that. And then before the trade, you have to move your orders. into the right place so that you don't get filled. You have to make sure you place the right type of order, etc. You know what I'm telling you. So what our software does, and one of the reasons we like it so much, is it automates every order entry except for earnings, and I'll show you why earnings is not necessarily completely automatic. But a trade like this, a news breakout or breakdown trade, is an automatic trade. It's a trade that our program puts the orders on automatically. My bracket is there, my orders are there, my replay is there. All I have to do is enable the trade, and it will use time. Make sure I have my time entered, okay? It will use the time that I have entered to enter the trade. So you can trade with our system. Now that we've added the one-click range trade, and I'll get into that in a second, you could trade any time, any index, any time frame. You can now trade Renko bars, you could trade second bars, you could trade ticks. We used to be limited just to minutes, so that's a very, very big new feature that we've added. So you enter the time you want the orders to be placed on the chart. Doesn't mean the time that you're going to enter the trade, because watch what happens. In 4 seconds, 6 seconds, my orders get placed on the chart above and below the current price, 11 ticks. And then when the news comes out, if you get a proper move, which is what we're looking for, is a move in one direction or the other direction, you get filled, okay? And that's a perfect JOBB trade. If it doesn't hit if it hits your second target also and immediately takes you out of the trade, we call that a bread and butter trade, just because it's a trade that pays you to, it pays for your dinner, your lunch, everything. So that was the API trade. It's a lot like the regular oil trade, but the regular oil trade takes place on Wednesday at 10:30, and we do trade that every single week live in our room. You see the bracket 11. It's different from the ticks above the range. Shari, I'll get into that. The ticks above the range is when you use the one-click range trade. The bracket is for the breakout trade. So it's two different ways to put orders on the chart. That's all it is. Now, there's one other great breakout trade that, and let me save it for later because I may not want to give it away for free. It's an awesome trade that we're going to start doing in the room. I figured out a way. There's a time of day where the NQ moves incredibly well every single day. And I've been waiting for a stop out to bring the trade into the room live, and the trade has not stopped out in weeks. That's how good the trade is. So I'm going to bring that trade into the room. The other thing I want to show you is, so you have the breakout trade. We do, I would say, about 70% of our trades are now breakout trades. Natural gas 2 weeks ago looked like this. Keep an eye on the realized money, because I didn't have my profit showing in the Ninja platform. I forgot. Profit was 360, 3 seconds. That was the trade. We had positive slippage, but all I'm really showing you is the way that the trade, a natural gas trade, would be very difficult to get your orders placed right before the trade. You could easily get filled at the wrong time because natural gas is volatile before the trade. Look at the move of that candle at 10:25. You can't put your orders on at 10:25. It'd be too early. You got to put them on seconds before the trade and manipulate them so they're not so far away from current price that you don't make any money. If you put them too far away from current price, you won't make money. I don't use a dome, Mitchell. I trade off the charts, and we trade mostly semi-automatic. And right now we use two brokers. If you're a new NinjaTrader user, we use NinjaTrader. If you're a new user, we use NinjaTrader as the broker. If you're an older trader and you had NinjaTrader as a platform before March 16th, I believe it was 2016, then you can use any broker that supported NinjaTrader in those days, like AMP or Optimus. So we have two accounts. I have my personal account with NinjaTrader. It's a small, just an experimental account that I use. And we have our regular brokerage account with AMP. Optimus, actually, and AMP is a clearing broker and Dorman. So that's what we do with our trading account. The other thing I wanted to show you, so the breakout trade is one type of trade. We have another trade that's a very simple trade. A lot of people like to trade. We got the idea for this trade from other people, other trade rooms I was in. Just one of the most common things that people like to do is trade ranges, okay? Everybody likes to trade ranges. There's a lot of gurus out there that they say, hey, trade the ES between 9:30 and 10. When it breaks out at 10 o'clock, you got to trade. If it breaks the high, go long. If it breaks the low, go short. But also in the old days when there was an oil pit, trading the oil open was a great range trade. And what you do is very simply, we changed our software, added some features so that people could trade a starting time. Give me just a second to make sure that I can adjust my platform. So bracket gets ignored, ticks gets ignored, and we go down to parameters. And what we're looking at now is the type of trade. First thing, you should always choose the type of trade. So if you want to do just a regular range trade, what's going to happen is you want to show the graphics on the chart. So that goes to true. You could change the color of the range, and then you just choose a range start time. So let's say you choose 8:55 a.m. Okay. And the beauty of this is you could trade anytime. You could, if you like trading the Russell at 9:30 to 9:35, trade it. Set up a range, and I'll show you how it works. It's real simple. So 8:55 to 9, we have a range trade. I've got two positions. I've got, let's say, a target of 5, a target of 10, a stop of, let's say, 12. Okay. And all I'm going to do is trade the range trade, and it's going to enter 3 ticks above the range or 3 ticks below the range. Now, for members and for people that are using the software, one important thing to realize is when the Joe Bracket breakout utility, when the Joe Bracket breakout software loads, it also loads an indicator called the Joe Bracket breakout utility. You must load that utility as an indicator. You don't see it. It basically does some things in the background. It puts our arrow on the trade. It does a couple of little things that help you so that you see everything you need to see when you're trading the breakout or the range trade. So that utility and the trap trade utility should always be on the chart, your trading chart, so that you see the arrow. And the arrow shows you current price, okay? Shows you current price at that time. So I'm just going to show you. See, what happens is you get a range. Now, normally you would match your time frames. If I'm trading minutes in a range trade, I want my time frame on my strategy adjustment chart to match. So minutes on both charts. So my order, you'll see my order, the range gets drawn on both sides. The brackets, 3 ticks above the range. Okay, the range was 93. My bracket's 96. My trade is basically, it's basically automated unless I change it. And that's how the range trade works. So you could create any range, any event with a range. that you want to using our range trade. It's very powerful, but we realized something. We realized that in order to have successful range trades all the time, you've got to test the range and how it's been working out all the time. So actually, up until recently, it was very, very difficult to do long-term testing in a fast manner. But we are now working on a method for doing long-term testing instantly, almost instantly. And we're not sure what we're going to do with that method yet, but it's something new that we're going to bring. Certainly, we're going to use it in the background for ourselves, but not sure what else we're going to do with it. It's an incredibly valuable tool. So the range trade and also the end of the pits, when pits ended, trading the oil range trade became way less effective. Oil didn't move the way it used to move at the open, which was 9 o'clock in the morning when the oil pit disappeared. So that was the regular range trade. Then we got this great idea, Stephen and I. Let's do a trade where you can click yourself into the trade. So we called it the one-click range trade. And we added a lot of new features to our platform once we started dealing with the one-click range trade. We added, just to give you a sense, if I can even remember the first thing we started with, we added an extra position, okay? What we wanted to do was, when JOBB first started, we had a simple platform that really wasn't quite as suitable for professional traders as it is now. Now professional traders can use our platform. If you think of our platform as an ultra sophisticated ATM, you'll never have to write an ATM again. So in our final upgrade, we added all of these new features. We added a zone indicator. Okay, so we don't necessarily use the range, but we're using a zone because we found it to be so powerful. And such a fantastic method of trading that we look to the zone much more than we look to the range. So I turn the range graphics off and I turn my zone graphics on, okay? And then the only important setting for the zone indicator is the period, how many bars it's going to look back. So it sets the zone. But I'll show you how we use the zone indicator. So we have a new strategy now. We call it the NQ Open. And in fact, let me see if I can do it live for you quickly. I don't want to keep you past 12:30, okay? That's long enough on a Saturday. So I'm going to go to 12:30. I'll try to get everything in. We have so many new features. It's almost impossible to get it all in. But so one of the big things we did, and one of the most important things we've done, is we've added a zone to our one-click range trade. We call it the one-click range trade colored zone. We don't use time on the entry. We just use buttons now, and I'll show you what I mean. So graphics on the chart is false for the range trade because the zone is going to put the graphics on the chart. And then basically all you do is you have extra positions now. We now have up to 3 positions, which people bugged us and told us they wanted. We also have the ability, after you hit every target, you can move your stop after a target is hit. So you can move your stop to break even, capitals or lower letters. You can move your stop to break even -6. You can move your stop to break even +10. Okay, very, very powerful. And you can do it twice. Let's say you want to have a 3-position trade. 2 stops get hit, so you might conceivably move your stop twice. You might conceivably also have trailing on. So we have now added, if your trailing is just on, it will trail from the moment the trade begins, okay? If you want your trailing to start when target 1 is hit, you can do that. If you want your trailing to start when target 2 is hit, you can do that. If you want your trailing to trail 3 ticks per trail, you can do that as well, okay? Very powerful trailing stops, multi-positions, extra positions. Most traders Most professional traders want to be able to trade 3 positions in a trade, at least 2 without a doubt. So at least you can have one runner. But with this system, you could have trailing stops with one target, with no targets and one position. If you use the software, one contract, no target, right? And your trailing stop is on, just on, then your stop will start to move the moment your trade hits a new high. And that might still be below the stop, okay? It might still be below the stop. Another feature that's very interesting and comes into play, and actually came into play for me in the past couple of weeks, the recent oil trade that we take in the room. Let me set it up. I'll get back to the zone in a minute. Let me just talk about stops because it's very important. I think it's a very important part of our program and a very major upgrade that we made. We trade that oil report as a breakout because that's what it is. Okay, it's clearly a breakout trade. I enter that trade at 10:30 because my goal is to avoid whipsaw on that oil trade. I don't use stop limit order, Shari, because there would be so many trades I would not get filled on, you would not believe it. And I can show you videos of trades where that happens. So if it works for you, I would never try to change your way of trading, but keep in mind that's a reason why you might not get filled sometimes. I call this my convenience store trade because I trade oil with a 7-tick stop, 7-11, 7-tick target, 11-tick target, 12-tick stop. It's a Wednesday trade. I already downloaded the data. Wednesday was 8:22. So let me enable the trade. True. Hopefully I'm getting it right here. And then I'm going to go to 8. Did I say 22? Nope. Wednesday was the 21st, 2018. And I'm going to go to 10:29 and 56 seconds. Okay. So we have 4 seconds to wait for my orders to be placed on the chart. Oil was trading that morning. I believe we were trading 10. Okay. So let's see what happens. Let me see if I got it right. But I want to show you something about a feature that we have that most people don't even realize that we have in this software. This trade hit my first target and then reversed so fast. If sometimes replay doesn't work the same exact way. And I think, you know what? I did Tuesday, forgive me. So let me just change the date. It was the 22nd, same trade. You could see if you always know in replay if you made a small mistake, nothing happens. So you just go back, put the right time in, make sure your trade is still alive in Ninja. Sometimes Ninja blows trades out. Most of the time it doesn't. So we'll put it back in now in 6 seconds. My brackets will work. What's going to happen is I'm going to get filled. And it happens so fast. You know what the problem is? We're in replay, so you have to trust me. In replay, there's no slippage, so it hit both my targets. In real life, what happened was it hit my first target and then it reversed, okay? Hit my first target, reversed, and stopped me out. So I actually lost money on the trade, even though I was right, but my stop was bigger than my win. So I was not able to get out of the trade fast enough to be able to take advantage of my first target being hit. So there's a way that you can use the platform to avoid that. And a lot of people don't know how you would do that. But we have a feature in the software called break-even trigger ticks and break-even profit ticks. If the market moves 10 ticks in your direction, or 8, 1 tick above my 7-tick target, I can move my stop to break even plus 1. But because the oil trade moves so fast, no software can always keep up with it. It's not that our software is no good. It's not that our software stinks. Sometimes the market moves so fast nanoseconds in its move, that the software can't get the stops placed fast enough. So you get an error and it closes you out, and it's just something you want to avoid. So you can delay the stop move by 3 seconds and wait until the move is already made, but it hasn't moved fast enough to stop you out on your second target. So break even profit ticks, trigger ticks, and delay is a way you can protect yourself in a super fast moving trade. And you can delay that stop move so that the software can keep up with it. These are little tricks that if you don't come into the trade room, if you don't, be a part of what we're doing, you might not know. It might take you a year to figure that out. You got to watch videos. You know what I'm saying. But that's one of the reasons that we love our trade room. In our trade room, we go over all the stuff that we're talking about here today, all the features, everything. Okay, but that's a very, very important feature that I will now be either trading first contracts for a while until the oil trade changes again. I may only go for multiple positions for 7 ticks rather than going for 2 contracts, or I'll try to protect myself by slowing my stop move and doing it that way. So that's just so you know. There are ways. We do have instructional videos on the website, Mike, but things have changed so much and so fast that sometimes we've got to, you got to get things caught up. And that's really the truth. We're no website. I don't know a trading website that is up to date enough with their updates, because especially for us, the news is changing so radically. But that's why the trade room is so important. Because if you come into the trade room, or shoot, send me an email, Mike, and I'll tell you what's valid or what's not valid. And we're slowly but surely updating our hires and all that stuff. I'll send you. Here's my email. You can use the support email at Joe Brackett Breakout, or I'll give you my personal email. Anybody's welcome to use it. Support at joebracketbreakout.net. You can reach me there. The software, the new version, Irvin, will be on the website next week, so don't do any downloading this week. Don't try to update your platform yet. The official release will be at the webinar next week, okay? That's our official release, and the software will be up, and all members, of course, you'll get an email explaining what to do. It's going to be large, easy to find this time. We're working on it right now. It's gonna be easy to do this time. It was a little tricky last time to find the files. We're gonna make sure that we're really on target for this upgrade, because it's so important to us, and we want all the members and everybody that uses the software to be on the same page. And we have a lot of members, that just come into the trade room. They trade on Max, they use TOS, they use IB, they use whatever they want to use, and they use our recommendations in the trade room. We have some people that just trade reversals. We have some people that just trade, manual opens. There's all sorts of things that people do in the trade room that they get help from us, though, because we have a lot of good advice. We often know when not to take a trade. I mean, we kept our members out of a whole bunch of trades last week that looked lousy. Existing homes would have stopped out. We didn't trade it, okay? Core durable goods, we had a cancellation rule. It filled the cancellation rule, hit our cancellation rule, we canceled the trade. It would have been a stop. And then sometimes you get a trade, hey, you cancel it and boom, it comes in late, things happen late, and it works. But more often than not, our rules keep us safe rather than the other way around. And that's very important as a trader. Have rules. Follow your rules, follow your plan. So the other thing, you've seen the breakout trade. So now I wanted to talk about the zone. Personally, I've got to get used to using the colored zone built into the program. In particular, it's really great with Ninja 8, because Ninja 8 doesn't have the indicators. So we wrote them ourselves. We rewrote them, changed them, and integrated them into Ninja 8. And before we go, I will show you that. But so the one-click range trade, like for instance, on a morning where we're going to scalp the NQ this week, my personal setup is pretty simple. I use 3 contracts, an 8 target, a 0 target for my second contract. I use 3 contracts because I use 2 contracts for my first target, 1 for my second. 16 tick stop, and then I manually trail. Okay, I don't, you could trail, you're trailing, you could put trailing on automatically if you wanted to, but I like to manually trail on this particular trade. This particular day, I would have started looking at the market at about probably 9:15. We got to the trade room, and I'll speed up the recording. We're not going to watch it the whole time. I'll just show you a couple of things that we do, and we don't trade oil. I'm going to trade the NQ on the open. That's what we trade right now. And that might change. If the NQ changes its characteristics on the open, then we'll trade something else. And you can trade a 1-minute chart if you want to. You could trade a, not natural gas, you could trade a 210 tick chart. That's the big chart we use. Hang on one second. The instrument I'm looking for is the NQ 918. I have so many instruments because I'm always testing. That's a normal looking chart. I like to trade the 210 tick chart when I'm trading the open. It's a brand new trade for us. We are going to introduce it because we have multiple ways to do it. We trade it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with a very specific trade that we've been working on with our testing, and we also trade it with scalping. The scalping worked every day except Friday this week, like I said, and we're going to use, I'll show you the 1 tick, the 210 tick trade that we took. I mean, I could show you a video of it, but let's see what happens. This was the trade live, and I went into the trade room. It was the 22nd. Wednesday was fine. Wednesday or Thursday was fine. Let's go Thursday. I think Thursday was kind of interesting. And we went into the room at 9:15 in the morning. That's when we started the room. So we were looking at the NQ, looking to see what happened. And the key is you can't use volume on a tick chart. So there's no point in having it on it. But you can use an indicator called VOL, which will just give you a volume number, which is kind of nice. So you could get a feeling for what's going on in volume. See, you'll just get a numerical representation. And then what you want to do is put the dynamic zone on the chart. Our software in version 8 will now do that for you automatically. Okay, I don't need, in the particular way that I'm going to trade this, I don't need to do it automatically because I'm using just a regular 1-click range trade. It's actually my favorite trade, I guess, because I'm getting used to some of the new stuff. So you can see it puts the zone on. I'm going to enter when my orders are probably above the zone or below the zone. So the idea is we're looking at the market to see what's going on. If you enable a 1-click range trade and get it set up the right way, then again, it's a 1-click range trade. It's not a bracket trade, right? So I said I was doing 2, and let me make it default if I do it more than once. My first target was 8. My second target is open because I'm going to manually trail my second target. My stop is 16. It's not a very complicated setup, but there's things about the stop that are very important when you're trading the open. When you're trading the open, you have to be very aware. You want to have your news on. We have our buttons now. I'm going to enter the trade. I'll show you how our software works. If you click the 1-click range trade entry, it'll be 3 ticks above or below the zone. okay? Because that's the method I'm using to enter the trade. So you want to be careful. You don't want to put your orders too close to the current price down there. You want to make sure that you have a way, and there are ways. I'm not going to show you every single thing today. We'll have other educational webinars. Irene, that'll be Thursday. I'll go over that with you. Carol, I would say we have very consistent results. I would say if you look at our reports are over 70% profitable. And it always depends how many contracts you trade, how big you trade is going to absolutely determine whether you make a good profit or you make a great profit or a medium profit. If you don't pay attention to the reports that are working, then you could get in trouble. So, it might be that I would not trade this early, but one of the signals for us is if price breaks the zone, right? If price breaks the zone, and there's one other indicator I use when I'm scalping or when I'm using the one-click range trade, I use the ADX VMA because it colors my candles in a way that gives me an idea of trend. If I see red trending candles, then I'm much more prone to take a shot, enter a trade like so. So I got entered. I don't remember if this trade worked that morning or if it stopped me out. I would put my stop personally above the zone, even though it's bigger. I don't want to give the market a gift if it's just going to chop around in the zone. So once it fills my first target, I then move my stop at least to break even, with the goal being I want to hopefully follow the move down if I'm going to get that kind of a move down. And this was even before the open. The market very often on a trade, on an opening trade, will get to the trade room and the market will present an opportunity before the trade. And I will sometimes take those trades, especially if it's what I call a magnet trade, right around the low. The low of the day is something that pulls the index price into the low of the day. If you're close to that price, you're almost always going to get the price pulled into that area. It's a very, very powerful magnet. I call those magnet trades, and they don't always work. Sometimes they test in a little while, but if I remember correctly, I think that this particular trade tested the low closer to the open. I'm just speeding up the time so we don't watch the whole trade all during this webinar. I don't want to waste time. So let's go to 9:29 and 57 seconds, because that's about when I would start to trade. I would start to trade at 9:30 when price starts getting pulled in, and you'll see my orders will get placed somewhere in this region, somewhere in this region when I click the one-click range entry. So I like this order on the short side way better than I like my long side order. I probably would not have taken that long side order because I think it's a short trade, but I was talking, so I just was doing replay. The order, in my opinion, is to the short side, but the key is just to see how the software works. It automates the entry. If it fills me, I got lucky here. Even though I was thinking short, it filled me, so I got a profit. I moved my stop to break even. It did give me a signal. It broke the zone with a blue candle. It's not close enough to the high of the day to give you a magnet trade. But so that was one trade. And now I can keep trading because I have enabled, not disabled. In other words, my check mark is still there. All I have to do to enter a new trade is click the button again, and I can have my orders placed immediately on the chart. Now we're into the open, but you can see the volume's kind of low. It's summer, it's August. I would like to place my orders. I normally would place my order right about here. It's very close to the low. Maybe the market wants to go up and test the high. You don't know. Is there going to be a gap fill? There's a lot of things to think about when you're trading the open. My point is we now have a new indicator that we use all the time called the colored zones. And we use this colored zone indicator and the ticks above and below the range to place the orders in an automated fashion on the chart. So in other words, if you're using the zone, and if you're using the one-click range trade, colored zone version of the trade, okay, it will place the orders according to the zone on the chart. X ticks above the range or below the range. If you want to be really safe, you could make that 5 ticks above current price or above the range so that you have time to move your orders, okay? So you could see we could do the same trade, automated. The zone will show up on our right chart now as well as our left chart. And in the final version of the software, I've already seen the final version, these lines will be dark just like they are on the left side, so you can see the zone really well. That's something that the programmer has added. So now if I want to trade, I've got my orders that they get placed above the zone there. And right now we have an issue where the zone is changing. So that's the one time you have to be careful where your orders are going to be placed. And you also have to make sure that your orders get placed according to the right time frame. So it's important, if you're using the zone orders, that you're not using, let me just make sure, if you're using the zone, you have to turn on the zone area so that you see it. And I just want to make sure all my settings are correct. I'm not using the range. I should get orders above and below. And keep in mind, I'm running not the totally finished version of the software. I promise you, when the software is done, everything will work 100% perfectly. I mean, that's just a given. We're not going to really see now when you turn on the zone, the orders are placed properly above and below the zone. That's where they should be. And then you wait and see if you get a signal. If you get a signal, or if you feel like the market is making a huge move and you want to get in early, you're trading in a discretionary manner. You can move yourself into your orders. There's no law that says you can't do that, okay? But we have a setup, and we have multiple setups for trading the open now using the one-click range zone trade. And with Ninja 7, the zone shows up on your charts. Just to give you a quick example of Ninja 8, let me close all my orders just because I'm paranoid, even though it's Saturday. Nothing's going to happen. Ninja 8 happens to look really nice, I think. And a lot of people, you know, they want to use Ninja 8 because it's the newest and the greatest. And I would say it's looking better and better and better. You can now trade it pretty much the same way as we trade it with Ninja 7. See, the nice thing about Ninja 8 is you don't need a second chart, because you can adjust your strategy on the chart that has chart trader on it. So you choose one-click range trade, and then you can make sure your zone area is on, make sure your trade is enabled, all the same exact features. You got to get used to looking at Ninja Trader. It's definitely 8. Version 8 is a little bit different, okay? But you're going to have to trust me. I don't have data downloaded on Ninja 8, but it will draw the zone. And we also wrote a couple of extra indicators. They now have, you know, they have TTM, the TTM squeeze built in, which we like a lot. The super trend indicator is available for it. What else is available? The Joe colored zones we wrote for it. Okay, so they can show up on the screen now. Let me see if they'll show up even if there's no data. Yeah, there we go. So that's what it'll look like on Ninja 8. And then we wrote one more indicator for it that we thought was important for using with the product, with the platform. The Williams indicator is now available for Ninja 8. People wanted Williams. Now you have a perfect chart for using Ninja 8 with the zone trade. And that was very, very important to us, okay? So I may start actually using NinjaTrader 8 in the trade room. I like it. I like what I see of it. There's one interesting thing. I think I have a recording. There's a new trade I'm going to be bringing into the trade room, maybe even as early as next week. Let me show you the trade, I think on Friday, which was the 24th. Let me double check. I think I used NinjaTrader 8 to test this new trade that I'm definitely going to bring into the trade room. Let me just see if I have it. If I don't have it really fast, then I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking for it. I'll show you some other things. I might take a minute just so people can ask me a couple of questions also, because I've been yakking almost for an hour and a half. And it definitely gets people bored. I don't want to get you bored. Okay. So 8/24 was the day I was looking for. Here it is. NinjaTrader 8, using the bracket breakout trade on a new trade I'm going to bring to the trade room. It's called the end of the day trade using the NQ. And Friday, it was the first difficult day in weeks that I didn't make an immediate profit on this trade. You could see I got filled long for 2. I just hung out though, and I waited because I know this trade. I know it's going to reverse. And I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and then it reversed, and then it reversed. It didn't do a big reversal. So I got out, I think, when I was about +6, +5, whatever, but I got out positive. You could have gotten out positive. That's all I wanted to show you. Let me show you this trade, because this trade is amazing. On 8, like I said, I was going to start trading it live, but I couldn't get the trade to stop out. I like to start a new trade on a stop out. This was 8/23, August 23rd. I trade this trade with no stops. Oops, I would have made about 110 bucks on that. Keep in mind, you got to remember there's going to be slippage. The day before, same trade, day before. Let's see what it did. 4 seconds. No stops. Oops. Probably would have made about 120 on that. I couldn't stop making money on this trade in the testing, so I don't want to bring it into the room until I lose money or have a crummy trade. Friday, I would consider a crummy trade because you had to wait to get out. It wasn't an immediate profit. But I would recommend keeping a very close eye on this trade, very close eye. And I'll show you why. That trade I had to manually exit. It was not so easy. So one of the things that we bring to the table is we test, and test. We help you, but we want you to do the same thing. We want you to test. We want you to bring us trades. We want you to tell us, hey, trade gold at 820 because it really works. Okay, I need you to tell me that. That's the key thing. Okay, that is the absolute key thing. We want you to help us. Let me just bring my platform back up one more time. I want to show you a couple more upgrades that we've done to it. So we now have the zones, the one-click range trade. We now have earning trades. That trade, Irvin, is at 3:50 in the afternoon every day using the NQ. And we're working on a way to get into the reversals because there's more than one trade there at that time. It's an awesome trade. We have so many things in the pipeline. I told you about reversal trades. We have a member who's very serious about trading reversals. That day he made $420 trading with us in the oil room, trading reversals. You've been through some of these seminars with me before. What I didn't want to do today is just show you all the normal trades that we take. I wanted to show you a couple of things that were a little bit different. You know, our earnings trades, our end of this new end of the day trade. Let me show you the end of the day trade and why it's so difficult and why we had to be careful to test it. Let me see if I can find one of the ones that's so difficult. But before it started behaving, it was trading like this. Now I was in a trade before this trade, so this one is too early unless I get out of this. Let me see if I get out. Nope, I was in too early. So let me show you a different one. I want to find you a bad one, not a good one. This should be a bad one. Taking the trade at 350. This should stop me out. That's called a double whipsaw, okay? Or that's called a whipsaw. Up and down, up and down. That's how that trade traded for months, So we had a different setup when it was trading that way, but it's changed. The trade has changed, and I don't think it's because it's August, because it traded the same way previously and not the way that it's trading now. So I think the market, that trade just happens to be changed. So we'll trade it with our current setup. And then if it changes again, we'll change the setup. So here's the deal. Here are the new features, just so I make sure I cover everything. You can trade earnings with our software. I showed you Amazon earnings. Let me show you Netflix earnings. Let me show you Google earnings, okay? This was Google. I put my orders on manually, automatically. The software put it on automatically. What we're waiting for is to get pulled into the market at the exact moment that Google releases their earnings. So you have to be careful. You got to manipulate your orders, move them away from the current price, but keep them close enough to the current price so you don't get pulled into the trade. And I'll show you how you would do that if you don't have our software. I promised I would show you something for free. Google's out, bingo, it pulls us in. We're out of the trade. Let's see, how long did it last? 15, 20 seconds. Still making money. I'm still trailing. Finally, it reverses, and I made 360. I think I was up a couple of bucks. No, I made 360 on Google. So that was Google earnings. We had never done that before live in the room. We're now completely compatible with Ninja 8. We're going to have a time entry as a choice for the one-click range trade by next week. Upgraded trailing stops I showed you. The indicators are integrated into the strategy. You can now just enter a one-click range trade by just pressing a button, right? That's something new. So let's say you just want to be a discretionary trader, right? Let's say you just want to trade a reversal, for instance, on an oil trade, okay? So I downloaded some data for us so we could look at it. So we know that on 8/22, we had a big oil trade that morning. The regular JOBB oil trade takes place at 10:30. So you put your trade in at 10:29.54, so you're ready for it when you're practicing. And I'm not saying this is going to work. I'm not saying it's not going to work. I have no idea. I'm just showing you what I'm going to do. And I would trade this on a 1-minute chart, not a tick chart, because it's a news trade. I would not use the zone on this trade. You don't need zones on news trades. You can use them. They work, and actually they're quite effective. People do use them. That's another whole area of trades that we're looking at. But this was just a regular. I want to show you how you can use the one-click range trade normal, right? to protect yourself in a reversal trade. You can put, let's say you're going to trade the oil trade with just one position, one contract, no stop, okay? But a lot of people are very uncomfortable trading no stops. So you put an emergency stop in of say 50 ticks, so that the worst you can do on one contract is lose about 500 bucks. But the key is you can use the one-click range trade to protect you in a reversal trade. We know at 10:30 the market is going to go up or down, and I'm going to go long or short based on the explosion. Okay, maybe I'll be able to keep up with it, maybe I won't. I don't know. I did the same thing I did before. I believe our day was 8:22. I thought it was 8:22. Maybe it was 8:23. Let's double check, because that was a 10:30 trade. Was Wednesday 8:21? Let's find out. If somebody has a calendar, I don't have a calendar handy. Tell me what day last Wednesday was, and I won't waste our time. What was the date last Wednesday? Time is almost up. You're right. Wednesday was the 22nd. So that should be working. Let's find out what's going on. 8:22, 2, I know what it is. I'm on the NQ. Okay, no problem. Make sure you're on oil when you're trading oil. That's very helpful. Okay. Now we'll get to move in oil. The NQ does not move on the oil trade. Let's just make sure our trade is still there. Not using a bracket. We're doing a one-click range trade. I have an emergency stop of 50, and all I'm trading is one contract. Okay. What I'm looking for is a reversal in oil on the explosion. I'm going to click the button when I see oil pop. And I was late. See how late I was on that? I may lose money on that trade because I was late. Or I could grab, what we're looking for is a return to the 21. I could have done that better, but I just want to show you, but I had protection. Let me show it to you one more time. It happened so fast on oil. I had protection in the sense that I had a stop on the chart, which you didn't see because it happened so fast, okay? Sometimes Ninja just blows your strategy out. I'll never understand why. It's just the uniqueness of Ninja, but it just does it. It's a frustration, but nothing you can do about it. It's not us, I swear. And you don't use a profit target, remember that. But you do use an emergency stop. I'll put it at 30 because this wasn't too big of a move. I think we'll be safe. I would not use a stop that small normally, but I want you to be able to see it. So at the time of the move, 10:29:56, we'll have 4 seconds. And even though I was late, I want to stop the trade. See, if I enter, I want to show you what happens. Don't want to show you what I'm done, but there's our emergency stop. So if I'm trading a reversal trade, as long as I use the one-click range trade to put an emergency stop on, I can enter immediately just by clicking the long or the short button twice. Ninja makes you click buttons twice. And I can put an emergency stop on the chart, okay? Our member actually doesn't use any stops at all. And in fact, on the 350 trade in the afternoon, I don't do a stop on that trade either because I don't need a stop on that trade. You never get hurt. It's $5 a tick, and it's just not going to kill you, okay? So these are the bullets. You can enter a trade now just by pressing buttons. Indicators are integrated into the strategy now. We can trade events, trade news, discretionary trade. You can virtually trade anything you want. Scalp trading is a major go now with the platform. You can semi-automate any type of trade. You can use bars, you can use Renkos, you can use minutes, you can use ticks, you can use seconds. The only thing to remember is to keep your charts matched if you're using zones so that your orders get placed in the proper place. Let me answer a couple of quick questions, and then let me just remind you that if you sign up for next week's webinar, right now you can't join us. I'm not going to talk about price. I'll tell you what our current price is, and I will tell you that we are absolutely going to have a better price for you next week. It's going to be a Labor Day sale that you can't believe, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm just going to show you what our current price is, so you understand you're not going to be paying this, okay? If you want to join us for a year, everything to trade them, it's $14.97. If you want to join us for a month, it's $197, okay? We're going to have a coupon code. We're going to give everyone a great deal, but you got to join and register for the webinar. So why don't you do it right now with me, okay, before we go? Come and register for this webinar, and then also you'll get our free class that we're going to sell for $497, Back to Trading School. We're going to set everybody up for Ninja. How do you use Ninja? How do you choose a broker? What data do you need? Just go to newjob, JOBB.info, sign up now. Do it with me now so that you qualify for the awesome price we're going to offer, okay? And we want to see you at next Thursday's webinar at 4:30 before the holiday, and we're going to give everybody a great deal. That's it. No pricing. You can't do it now. You can't become a member until next week, until we release the new software. Does anybody have any questions about what they've seen? Back to Trading School, what's it going to be? All the essentials of Ninja, all the essentials of setting up JOBB software, all about testing. How do you succeed with our platform and with our program? You know, we're going to talk about what you have to do and how to do it. One of the things, members have to come to the web. You know what, Matthew? Members are going to get to come to the class. That's one of the bonuses of being a member. We're not going to charge members for the class. The new software is coming out next week. Jeff, I was a member. When I said oil room, I was just like all of you. I used to be a member of various oil rooms that traded oil. If you want to use our system just to trade oil, you can do that, Jeff. I'll put that up for you, Carol. You can do that. I don't have a specific oil room that I recommend now. Because I haven't been to any in a long time, Jeff, so I don't know who I'd recommend now. So I don't want to give out any names, but I'm not afraid to talk about other gurus out there. You know, other gurus are generally very expensive. We are really reasonable because we are a community. We want you to be part of our community. That's the most important thing. We want you to share with us as much as we share with you. But I will tell you this in terms of, just go to newjob.info, JOBB.info, register for the webinar next week. I'm not going to lie, it's a sales webinar next week. You're going to get the free trade class as part of it. If you sign up and register, we're going to invite everybody next week to all of our trade rooms that came and signed up for this webinar. We want everybody to come and see what we do. You can watch what we do before you join. We are completely transparent. We're not afraid of showing you the good and the bad, okay? We trade lots of oil, Jeff, or we trade the oil trade every week. I mean, that's something you can count on. We trade natural gas every week. That's something you can count on. We have a setup for it. I want to trade the 430 API report every week. I may bring it into the room. We'll see if there's not too much slippage. We'll see what kind of success we have with it. I'm going to bring that into the room because I'm trading it anyway. So I have so much knowledge about that trade that I think I can keep people safe with that trade. I really know when to trade it and when not to trade it. And that's one of the things that you get by being part of us. And our members are learning to do that and share their results with us too. And that's absolutely critical, absolutely critical. So we're going to start that back to school trading after the sales webinar Thursday the next week. We're going to do 3 days of training, probably a good 45 minutes, half hour prior to a good trade room. So you'll also get the bonus of being in the trade room, and we'll do the training before the trade, so that it'll be a lot of fun also. Our trades are fun. I mean, people come all the time and watch the non-farm payroll trade. We get a full room almost all the time because the trade is so exciting and so crazy. Just to give you an example, let me see if I have, this was August 3rd. I don't remember if I made money August 3rd on this trade or if I lost money August 3rd. I think it was the last two non-farm payroll trades have been brutally difficult. This trade did not behave the way I wanted to. I missed my target, I think by one tick. Let's see what happened. I was up quite a bit of money and it reversed on me before I could move my stop. I lost $65 on my first target, but I know this trade so well. I had 3 positions left in the market, and I waited patiently and I waited patiently, and we had a lot of people watching this trade. And this is not how non-farm payrolls usually goes. But that trade, because I know it, I knew it would probably reverse. I was able to get out with a $230 profit. And that was a tough trade. It took 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's usually a trade that's over in a second. Now, here was Apple earnings. We never traded Apple earnings before, ever, because Apple usually releases their earnings when the market's closed, right? So this time, Apple, they were a little bit late. We were able to get our orders on the chart. I was up 40 bucks before the trade. It seemed like there was actually a slight delay. And then Apple earnings came out, shot the market up, and I was able to make like 210 bucks in 6 seconds trading the first part of Apple earnings. And then it reversed and stopped me out. So earnings is something new and exciting that we are doing with our software, and we're going to absolutely expand that. But Jeff, if you find an oil trade, we are going to have a way. I'm telling you now that this is definite. It may not be something we give away because it's so powerful, but we're going to have a way to test every index on every minute of the day and come up with the best settings for that time period for that index. And it's not going to take weeks of testing. We're going to have a way to do that. So I'm working on that, and I'm really, really excited about that. I'm also excited about some potentially non-lagging indicators that I'm looking at that can help us in our discretionary trading. So that's something I'm looking for also. What time do you do earnings and what instrument? Now, Normie, you know as well as I do that earnings don't get released at a proper time. That's one of the problems. Let me show you really quickly what I promised to do, and then we'll leave. I promised to show you that, let's say you're just trading earnings on any chart that you want to trade. Let me just open a workspace, my regular trade room workspace, because it'll sort of look like a normal earnings or a normal trading workspace. Let's say you're going to trade the NQ. We trade futures on earnings, Normie, just so you know. Maybe we'll do stocks when we add another platform. That's a possibility, okay? But let's say you want to trade Apple earnings. What would you have to do if you knew that an earning trade was going to come out? What you would do, the best way to do it is the market would be moving, okay? So we're going to make believe this market's moving. Nothing's going to happen in the market because there's no earnings taking place, but the technique is the same. You have to put a buy stop above your current price. The amount of contracts is up to you. If if you want two above, fine. And then you have to put a sell stop below the current price. Okay? And then as you get closer to the earnings coming out, because you only know, they only say, like Apple says, after the close. There are things you can use. Like, for instance, the TOS platform happens to show you exact times that previous earnings came out. But the problem with the TOS platform is they don't let you use strategies, so we can't use that platform. So the idea is right before the earnings come out, you move your orders as close to the current price as you can without being filled early. And then boom, the earnings come out, the price explodes up or down, you get filled, you manually trail following the price. Okay, that's how you trade earnings if you don't use our software. Just to show you one more time, if you use our software, for instance, we had one more awesome trade. We had a couple. We traded natural gas the same day that, was it Netflix? If I don't have it really handy, I'm not going to waste, I don't want to spend the time. It was Amazon. Let me see if I could find that. Amazon. Okay, Amazon earnings. We were having a really good day that day. Okay, Amazon earnings, we had made $210 on natural gas. So to show you what I'm talking about, you know there's going to be a giant move with Amazon earnings. Our software puts the orders on manually, automatically. You would put your orders on manually, try to move them close to the current price, but not so close that you get filled in a false move. Our software didn't get too close, so I was able to make $600 on that Amazon trade. Carol, next week we're inviting you to the room for a whole week for free. You'll get invites to the room for a week. Okay, and then every Friday we have free trade room Friday. All you have to do is go to freetraderoom.com. Okay, I'll give you the URL. freetraderoom.com. I just want to show our last final thing. Give you the registration page one more time. All right. JOBB.info. Make sure you go. Register for next week's webinar. You can do it right now. Carol, what I was saying is if you don't want to do anything at all, but you still want to check us out in the future, just go to freetraderoom.com. And at freetraderoom.com, you'll get an invite and a link to a free trade room or two every Friday, so you can check out our trades every Friday. Okay, but next week we're going to invite everybody that came to the webinar to come visit us in the trade room, see what kind of a nice community we have. We are not your regular guru. We don't charge thousands and thousands of dollars. We're incredibly fair. We've given all of these upgrades to our members for free over the past year and a half. I don't have to tell our members all the nice things we do. They're here because they know that that's the truth. Any last questions before we go? I can't thank you all enough for being a part of this webinar. This was awesome, and I thank you all so much. Anybody have a last question before we go? Members, anybody have anything you want to say? Nobody? We're all set? Jeff, go ahead. Did I just... Did I say for anybody that came in here, yes, we would offer you the trade room for free all week. Brian, thank you, brother, for coming. All my friends, members, go scroll down to the bottom, Al. Scroll down to the bottom, and there should be one free trade on there. If there's not, I'll make sure it's set up for next week. Jeff, we will send you the invites automatically. What Frank is saying is Lee has spent his own time helping me with the software. He's so generous. It's amazing. I've gone into people's computers to help them. We will not let you flounder. If you're willing to put in the time and energy, if you put in the time and energy, I'll come into your computer and help you. I promise you that. If you're stuck or you need help, I can absolutely help you set up your charts. I never understand why somebody leaves and never asks me for help. All you have to do is ask and I will help. But if you don't ask, I don't know if you're having a problem, okay? So I will happily come into your computer. I will give you my personal phone number. I'll tell you this though, I will not answer the phone, I never do, but I do answer texts, okay? I do answer texts. And all my members know that. They all know that. You can reach me at 484-995-3972. My personal email, I'll give you that. I'll give you my support email, which is the best way to contact the company. There's no question about that. I love what I do. I love helping people try to succeed at trading, which is the hardest thing to do in the world probably, but a lot of people do it. We see them. You can be one of them. Lots of our members are them or they. Lots of people do well. People struggle because they don't follow the rules. They don't come into the trade room. I think the trade room is the key, is now the key to our service, because that's where you get the most updated information about what's going on, okay, before a trade. So it's critical. It's critical to use the trade room, even if you only use it once or twice a week, or watch the videos that we make, that we send after. It's very important. The trade room is critical now. Any last questions? Anybody else? I'll stay until the questions are done, or I'll let you get on with your weekend. I know people are getting excited about Labor Day, and overseas people couldn't care less about Labor Day. Monday's not a holiday for you. People in the US, this is probably the quietest week of the year. I'll show you, how about I'll show you one of our members on Alphabet had an awesome trade. He made 750 on the Alphabet trade. He was up on another trade, a couple of bucks, 300 bucks, but he traded, looks like he trusted us enough, right? To trade 6 contracts on Alphabet with us. That's how much he trusted us. And he got rewarded, okay? Because he made 750 that day in a couple of seconds. The hours for the trade room, Danny, they vary because we have specific trade rooms for specific events, okay? And we have a ton of educational testing rooms where we show people how we test, how we come up with our ideas. We don't always trade live in the trade room. If we think a trade is not safe to trade, we'll still have a trade room because we watch so many of the reports. We trade sometimes at night, Australian reports, Chinese reports. We're looking for a way to trade Japanese reports. We're looking to expand into other indexes. There's so many things I have planned for the future that I'm so excited about it. I can't bear it. That's the truth. I can't bear it. Reversal trades, so many exciting things that we have doing. New platforms. I mean, it's just amazing the things that I'm going to do. And my bosses let me run wild, but controlled and smart, and with my ideas. They let me do my ideas in the room, and they're very, very trusting of the things that I come up with, and they support a lot of what I do. Because when I got here, there was no trade room. You traded alone in your room, you got a hire report, and there was nothing to do at the end of a trade. We now have a community of people working together to help each other. It's absolutely fantastic. It's great. David, thanks for coming. So all the people that know me, you know I'm telling the truth. I haven't made up anything. Every trade is not a winner. You see it live in the room in front of your own eyes. We win, we lose, we cry, we laugh. We have good days and bad days, and it's just what trading is all about. Anybody who tells you different is not telling you the truth. There is no holy grail. The holy grail is yourself. And when you learn that that's the only holy grail you have, that's when you can become a successful trader. Trust in yourself, trust in your testing, and trade within your means, and you'll have a really good chance to succeed. So I wish everybody the best. Have a great rest of the summer. It ended too fast. Listen to some Paul McCartney. His new song, I Don't Know, is awesome. And check out my music online if you like. Google me, Lee Goldstein, Leigh Goldstein, and listen to my songs. I'd love it. Send me a comment, say hello, come into the trade room, join us, don't join us, come into the trade room and just see what we're all about next week, no matter what. And register for that webinar, whether you join in with us or not, you'll still get that free class just for registering for the webinar. Okay, folks, John, I'll see you Monday. Absolutely. Kath, great seeing you. So glad you came today. Everybody that you know, I'm not going to name you all. Thanks, everybody, for coming. It means a lot to me, you know that. The software will be ready, hopefully, and hung on Wednesday on the website. And then it should be ready for download on Thursday. Okay? That's what I'm hoping. At worst, by the weekend. That's our worst. All right, folks. Great rest of the day, and I'll see everybody in the trade room. Take care, everybody. So long. Thanks for coming.